Hi everyone. My name is Catherine. I use they them pronouns. And whether we know each other or not, welcome to my channel. You might be new here, or you might be someone who I already know. But either way, I hope that we can find our own time together in our own special way. Today, I would like to do a pretty straightforward pick a pile tarot reading. This is a really great introduction to the way that I like to read, for those of you who I haven't worked with in a tarot capacity yet. This is a pretty typical setup for me. What we'll do is I will shuffle from 4 different tarot decks, an assortment of different cards, and then I'll associate each card pile. I'm going to do 3 piles today. I'll associate each one of those with a crystal that feels like it's calling to me for that particular stack. You'll be able to select which pile you feel drawn to based on your intuitive senses. You can meditate on it for as long as you like. You can pause the video and take a moment to decide what's calling to you. And then I'll put a timestamp in the description that you can hit, and then you can hear your reading for the day. Whenever you're watching this video, whether it's when I'm posting it or 3 years down the line, I hope that it resonates with you, and it's at least a little bit of something that you can take with you on your journey. I hope very much that I can be good company for your journey. Before I begin, I want to do 2 things. First of all, I want to recognize that I personally sit on stolen land. I live in the United States on the traditional territory of the Iroquois Confederacy, various different names depending on the area, specifically the Haudenosaunee, I believe. If you don't know, if you live in the US or Canada, actually I believe worldwide this also applies to, but I don't know how far along it is in development. You can visit native-land.ca and learn what traditional lands of which indigenous tribes you reside on. I encourage you to research those tribes and give thanks to the people whose land you reside on and do something to make their lives a little bit easier. Donate to those tribes, learn about them, give land acknowledgements when you're able. This is my small way of doing that. Hi everybody, I just wanted to jump in with a quick post-filming clip here. I wanted to acknowledge that I didn't word that entirely well, and I sincerely apologize to Indigenous folks of all tribes for not putting this very well, and for my mistake and my bias. It's important to recognize that these lands were not given up willingly, and we shouldn't be giving thanks to people whose land we took. I'm speaking from my experience as a white person. Indigenous folks' traditional lands were stolen, especially in the US, but across the world in many contexts, through settler colonialism. And my role as a white person, as someone who benefits from colonialism, from colonization, is really significant in this. I'm really out of breath, I'm so sorry. I'm not wording this very well either, but again, I still encourage you to go to nativeland.ca and do a little research on the tribes of who traditionally reside on the land that you live on. Whether you live in the US or elsewhere in the world, this is especially relevant to Canadians and Australians as well, but notably to other areas of the world who have been severely impacted by settler colonialism. If you don't know a lot about this topic, I really encourage you to look more into it, but I try to give a land acknowledgement whenever I can, just to kind of push back on that like privileged narrative, and to encourage folks to learn more about it. So I hope that made sense, and again, I'm very sorry for implying that settler colonialism was an accident or that those lands were given up willingly, because they weren't. Anyway, I'll continue with the video now. Thanks. Bye. I really encourage you to take the time out of your day to do that. I'll put a link in the description to this website. The second thing I want to do before I start shuffling is to take a moment with you, dear watcher, to ground ourselves in the knowledge that we are enough, and that we've been given divine gifts by the universe, by whatever deities you might worship, by our ancestors, to continue carrying on the things that make us human. We're allowed to feel our emotions. We're allowed to be good company on one another's journeys. We are allowed to be imperfect. I apologize if you hear my rats wrestling and drinking in the background. We share space. I take a lot of solace in it, but they're quite noisy. We're going to take a moment to ground ourselves in the knowledge that being imperfect is encouraged, and that we have exactly what we need to succeed within us, that we are more than what we produce, and that we are innately perfect in our imperfections. I want you to take a deep breath in, spreading all the way to the depths of your diaphragm. Spread healing energy to the rest of your body. Feel anxiety melting away from the tip of the crown of your head all the way down to your root chakra. I want you to envision anxiety and stress melting away. And ground yourself in the knowledge that the information you're about to receive can help heal you in your journey. Release apprehension through your fingers and toes. Wiggle them a little if it feels good for you. Loosen up. Get the cracks out of your neck. I have a lot of them in mine. I need to see my doctor. Take a deep inhale and a big soft sigh, and then we'll begin. I want to preface this by crediting the decks that I use. I'm going to be dealing from 4 different decks. I don't know if I can fit them all in this view, but I'm going to try, and I'll link them all in the description. This is not the box that this deck came in, it's just a nice box that I keep it in. These are the decks that I'm going to be using today. I'll show you in this box. I'll just put the guidebook out and the deck. These are the decks that I'll be using. This deck over here, it doesn't have the name on the front cover of the box, but it's the Prisma Visions Tarot by James Eads. So if you like what you see and you want to buy one of these decks, I'll put the links in the description below. As always, I encourage buying directly from indie sources and not from big box sellers like Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but you do what you need to do. Some of these decks are no longer in indie production and you have no choice to buy from a big retailer. So I'll provide some good options for that down below. So let's get started. I'm going to draw 1 card from each deck for today, because I'm afraid I don't have the space for more than that with my crystals set out, but that's okay. How are you doing today, viewer? I would love to shuffle in the camera view. I'm gonna try my best to do that, but I have little hands, so I might lose some cards. This is gonna be pile number 1, viewer. I hope you choose the pile that you feel. Ooh, I got a lot of jumpers. I hope you choose the pile that you feel the most drawn to. Philo, if you watch Parks and Rec. It's my favorite show. This will be pile 1. Ooh, I guess this guy wants to be pile 2. That's pile 3. I deal my tarot by choosing either the jumpers, the cards that stick to my fingers, or cards that stick out and stay stuck and start to call out to me, saying that they want to be picked so badly. All right, this deck is going to be the Everyday Tarot. I'll also pick 1 from each deck. This deck is tough to get jumpers from because the edges are pretty matte, so I'm gonna keep those in the deck because there are like 3 of them. The edges of this deck are pretty matte and they tend to stick together. Guess we'll just do this. I hope you're having a good week. For those of you who are watching this video when it was filmed in 2020, I hope you've been holding up well, or well enough, knowing that we're all engaging in collective trauma at the hands of one COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, right off the bat. Black Lives Matter movement, Indigenous rights. It's a lot weighing on all of us, viewer. I hope that you're able to find rest. That was an easy shuffle. Thanks, Mystic Mondays deck. Pretty reliable one. And then we have one last deck we'll shuffle from, and then I'll choose some crystals. A couple of these decks are new to me, so I'm really enjoying the opportunity to work with them. These are large cards, so I have a hard time picking them sometimes. I love this deck because it's kind of opalescent and holographic. It's a little bit pricey, but I think it's worth every penny that I spent on it because I feel deeply connected to this deck. I think we're gonna learn to be great friends. I just got it in the mail this week, so it's a real privilege to be able to be working with it right now for you all. This deck doesn't like to give me jumpers. It feels very principled that way. I have to coax them out. I think I need to spend more time bonding with it. All right, so we've got our piles. I'm going to riffle through. I have a pile of crystals here. I'm gonna go ahead and choose what's calling to me for pile 1. I have a slice of agate. This is a really nice one. I got most of these at a metaphysical shop that I found near me about a week ago. Kind of went hog wild in that store. It was really lovely. For pile 2, I have a smoky quartz. And then pile 3, that was a tough one. This is a garnet. Okay, do me a favor and touch in with your intuition at this moment in time. Think intuitively about which of these piles is calling to you. And then I'm going to give a timestamp in the description, and you can go ahead and select whichever timestamp is the one that corresponds with the pile that you've chosen. All right. If you chose pile 1, you choose the agate slice, which is beautiful. It's a really great stone to choose, especially if you're someone who's looking for a little bit of grounding today. I like sliced crystals because they tend to be nice to rub your fingers on. Helps me soothe myself a little bit. Today we're going to start with the 9 of Cups from the Prisma Visions, the Star, Judgment, and the Hierophant. Wow, you have a lot of majors today for you, pile 1. A lot of majors. Major Arcana is the first 22 cards in the tarot deck. That tells me that this message that you're about to receive is going to be one that you're going to be able to carry with you for quite some time. This might feel very salient to you if you chose pile 1. So take heed. And if this doesn't resonate with you at this point in time, carry it with you, and it might in a week or two's time. It's always the message I like to give folks when they draw a lot of majors. You're facing a decision if you chose pile 1. You're feeling a deep sense of duty that we see in the Hierophant and Judgment. The 9 of Cups tells me that you're feeling your emotions fully, but that you don't feel a deep sense of completion just yet. You have a lot of aspirations, but you're close to the end, you haven't gotten there yet, and you're anticipating reaching the end of that journey. You're a dreamer. You're feeling that energy, the dreamy energy of falling from grace and discovering your purpose in the world on the way down. The star comes right after the tower in the major arcana. So I always like to tell folks when they pull the star, this tends to symbolize falling from something cataclysmic that feels like it's going to end your life, and you realize on the way down you're falling into something even better. That's why I don't think the tower is a bad card, but we're not talking about the tower right now. Judgment tells me that you have something coming in the distance. You might be aware of what's coming even, but you don't know what path to take. The Hierophant reminds you to center yourself in a sense of hope and responsibility. Remember your roots. I'm getting a lot of earth energy from this. If you're an earth sign or have an earth sign placement, this might resonate especially for you. Regardless of your astrological signs or your views on astrology, this is a spread that's going to encourage you to take stock of what you're holding in your hands currently. Don't get too swept up in the grandeur of the star. Keep your aspirations at your heart, and you'll reach the end that you desire. You have a lot in front of you. There is so much hope in this spread. I'm feeling a deep sense of relief coming your way. You might need to hear that you are worthy of hope and attention. You're not a hopeless case. You have innate worth just as a human, just for being who you are. You are a good person. You have good aspirations and your dreams are valid. You have what you need to chase them, but you need to remember, and the Hierophant, I don't know how you pronounce that. The Hierophant reminds you that while you have everything you need to succeed, you have to stay true to the sense of responsibility that you can carry with you throughout a journey like this. You can't ignore minding your P's and Q's. And Judgment is a reminder of that as well. I'm sensing a deep sense of worry that you'll make the wrong choice. And if you chose pile 1, I'm here to remind you that the only wrong choice is the choice that you make without yourself at the center. There is no wrong choice as long as you center yourself and what you personally need. This is a really lovely spread, and I hope that this is helpful for you. This is a quick one, but I hope that it resonated, and I hope that you have a lovely day, week, month. Whenever this reading seems to resonate for you, I sense that it will be deep and important, and I hope that this is good for you to take on your journey. Thank you for listening. All right, pile 2. If you chose pile 2, welcome. I hope that this reading resonates for you, and I'd love to get started to see what you have in store. We'll start with Judgment, 6 of Cups, the Lovers, the 9 of Cups, wow, if you chose pile 2, you have some deep emotional turmoil happening, don't you? There's something that you can't seem to reconcile, but there's a new door opening, and you shouldn't ignore that. There's something ahead for you. The 6 of Cups tells me to tell you that it's okay to share your emotions and be vulnerable. There is a duality in all of us. None of us can be truly perfect. You're allowed to share what makes you imperfect with others. And the 9 of Cups tells me that there's something deep-seated and emotional that is giving you pause. It's feeling like you're at the end of a journey and the beginning of another. And you need to reconcile what you should leave in the past and what you can take with you. But remember that emotions are valid whether or not you are still feeling them. If you decide that you're angry or upset or happy with something at one moment and then the next that changes, it doesn't change the fact that you felt differently and that emotion in that moment was valid. Ask for help when you need it. if you chose pile 2, you may be struggling and need to hear that. You are allowed to care for yourself. You are allowed to put your oxygen mask on before you help others with theirs on the plane. You're allowed to embrace uncertainty. This is a spread that feels very reassuring. And I want you to know that this message is important for you because it carries a deep message of wholeness. You are whole regardless of where you are on your journey. If you're nearing the end of one cycle, like the 9 of Cups shows me that you might be, it could be the beginning of another. But with every ending comes a new beginning. Judgment may be a new beginning, but it might not be directly in front of you. You might be looking in all the wrong places. You might not be communicating with the right people. Get in touch with your deepest emotional self before you make any rash decisions. Hold it dear to your heart that you deserve to be happy, and you'll make the right choice. I know you will, because you chose pile 2. It's the first step in any journey. Smoky quartz is a stone that casts out the negative junk of other people. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe that energy, that purifying energy, that protective circle around you is what you need to hear. Surround yourself with those who make you feel whole, because you are. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I hope that this is advice you can take forward with you in your journey. And I'm really honored to be reading for you. Thank you for listening. All right, last but certainly not least, if you chose pile 3, this is something you might really need to hear. And I'm excited to be bringing it to you. We'll start with the 9 of Pentacles. Then we have the Queen of Pentacles. A lot of pence. Queen of Cups. And the 10 of Wands. It's a little uneven. It doesn't fully fit, but that's okay. We all don't have to be perfect. Wow. This feels very mature. But it feels like that maturity might be weighing on you. The 9 of Pentacles tells me that you have aspirations. And the Queen of Pentacles reinforces that for me. There's a deep focus on financial or familial well-being, specifically coming up for me. I feel as though you have big dreams. And the Queen is showing me that you have some of what you need in place to achieve it. You have that beginning of mastery, of being able to keep all of your things together. You might keep a lot of lists. You might have a deep sense of control. But the Queen of Cups is a reminder and a warning that in order to have mastery of the material, you also need to have mastery of the emotional. You can't ignore your feelings. You can't let them fester away where no one can see them. You have to let them into the light. You have to let the 10 of Wands, the completion of a creative cycle, occur before you can start something new. You can't finish a project unsolved before you jump straight into something else. You have to have closure. You have to find solace in the fact that your trauma is over. There is nothing else from your past that can hurt you unless you continue to let it. Maybe you need to confide in someone. If you want to achieve all that you aspire to be, you need to have trust in other people. You can't be the only one carrying your burden. If you manage other people, this is an especially deep warning because you have to trust others to do their jobs. You can't do everyone's job for them because you feel that you'll do it the best. We don't hire people to fill spots in our employee roster. We hire them because we believe that they can do a good job at what they do. You need to let go of other people's responsibilities and just do what needs to happen for you. I strongly suggest seeking out someone who can help you cast away your past burdens and trauma, whether that's a close friend, a family member, a partner, romantically, business partner, someone you trust, or a therapist. If you don't know where to start, just seek out someone who might. You don't have to cast all of your troubles onto them. Take care of yourself. Take care of your own before you try to jump into something large. Maybe like starting a new venture that you've been dreaming of. You have some closure to take care of before you do that. If you can do that, you will experience all of the good that the Suit of Pentacles is showing you that you can achieve. Find some clarity in knowing that you're allowed to be imperfect. You're allowed to make mistakes, and you're allowed to learn that something isn't working and try something new. If something isn't totally working and you feel the need to do something differently, ask yourself why it wasn't working in the first place so you don't make the same mistake again. This feels like a spread related to work of some kind, whether it's your actual job or a labor of love. Attend to those emotional matters before you project them on others in the workplace. I hope this lends some clarity. If you chose pile 3, I hope that you find some space for rest and healing, because I feel as though that would really help you in this situation. And I hope that this was able to lend some important clarity on what you need for your journey. I hope that this can take with you. I hope that this can follow you throughout what you need. Take care. Thank you for watching.